Welcome to Betting with Benny and Tino here at FTN Bets on the FTN Network, sponsored by Bets TV. I want to start off today's show by giving a big shout out to all the veterans out there on Veterans Day. My father, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law all serve or are serving in the military at the moment right now. So I am a big fan of anybody who's willing to, do anything to help this country out there. And I think these guys need as much credit as they can get, not just those in my family, but all of the military service people from around the country. So thank you all from us here at FTN. So the first thing I want to do today is kind of start off the way that we normally do. It's a Thursday show, so we're going to be going over our teasers this week for Week 10 of NFL action, and then we're going to get into some of the prop bets for tonight for Thursday Night Football. But before we do that, let me kick it over to my partner in crime, producer extraordinaire, and my co-host on the show, my man, Steven Tino Rodriguez. What is going on, my dude?
It's going, Benny. Welcome back. I appreciate
Thank
that
you.
salute to service and a salute to you for getting this together again. We took a 2-week off here for one reason or another, but I'm happy to be back, and it feels good, man. It feels good. We dodged some bullets over the last 2 weeks that the people didn't have to see. It's been up and down. Last week was a wild one in terms of NFL betting and just the NFL in general. A lot of underdogs, a lot of upsets winning. So, I'm glad we dodged that and we didn't have any of that on tape because I know me, like you, our teasers got annihilated. So that isn't on the record, but we do have some teaser recaps here on how we've been doing this season and how we've been doing in terms of props. So we're going to get all you guys caught up. We're going to get this well-oiled and back and going every week again, and we will have another show tomorrow, as far as I know, Benny.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be talking tomorrow. We'll do circa picks because we'll have the lines out for that. So we'll go back over those, and we'll be doing our props as well tomorrow for the weekend games, for the Sunday games and the Monday games. We'll do that tomorrow. And again, it was on me that the last 2 weeks that we weren't here, I had a couple medical things I had to take care of. And you know what? Sometimes life gets in the way of, fantasy life. And every once in a while, you got to handle a couple things. But I'm good. The doctors say I'll live at least for another couple months or so. We don't know how long. Nothing is guaranteed in this world. But, yeah, it'll be fun. And I am very happy to be back in the seat talking football with you, something that we do even when we're not on air. So this is always a good time here. So let's start. You want to do the recap of the teasers and then we'll get into this week's teasers?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's just take a look here, and we're doing pretty good. Benny, you are coming off a winning teaser, believe it or not, here. So you had
believe it or not, I win more than I lose on them.
Well, as of right now, so we were both even as of the last time we were on the show in week 7. We were 3-3, and you're up to 4-3. I am down to 3-4. But all in all, we've been doing really well. Actually, your overall record on teaser picks is actually very impressive. You've only had one loss in the 3 losing teasers you've had. Other than that, all winning pieces. 13-3 overall for you. I will be 15-5 here on my end of things, and 3-4. Not too bad. I bet a lot more games than you do on teasers, which you tell me not to do, and I will be doing again this week again. Maybe I'll learn.
You never used to listen to me. You never used to listen to me when I was your coach either, when you were playing basketball in high school. So I didn't figure you would listen to me now. But you know what? You have picked up a couple things along the way. So I am happy about that. That I'm, this is what it's all about. We're trying to teach people how we look at these games, how we bet these games, so that maybe it helps make them a little bit better at doing it and a little more profitable as well. So I'm going to get into my teasers here for Week 10. And the reason why I want to get into it real quick here is because the first teaser piece I'm using is actually in this Thursday Night Football game that we'll talk about in a little bit between the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. So Baltimore is on the road, but they're a 7.5-point favorite on the road. So 6-point teaser, we can get them down to 1.5. We're teasing them through that key number of 7, teasing them through the key number of 3, the semi-key number of 6 as well, all the way down to 1.5. You look at Baltimore this year, I think their record is 6-3, but they're 6-2, 6-3, something like that. But they're only like 3-5 or 3-6 against the spread. And we remember we've had a lot of these Ravens games that have come down to a last-minute Lamar Jackson drive or a last-minute field goal or a 60-something yarder that banks off the crossbar and winds up going in right there. That has been the Ravens season. This is a team that wins football games, but they don't win with style. They're not running up the score and beating teams by 3 touchdowns here. A lot of their games are close. So I didn't want to lay a 7.5 number with the Ravens. But if you could tease that down to the 1.5, I like that a lot because I don't think Miami's offense is very good. Their defense is better than people give them credit for, although the rush defense has been better than the pass defense, which is not what most people thought would be the case this year. But I do think the Ravens are going to be able to kind of have their way with the Miami Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to put up a lot of points here. I think the Ravens will find ways to score as they always do, and I think the Ravens eke out a victory here. So the fact that we could start the week off on Thursday night, tease it down to 1.5, hopefully get through this game, that opens things up for the weekend. So I actually have a couple teasers that I'm throwing in this weekend, but I'm going to talk about the main one here. The main one that I'm doing here is a two-team teaser. The second leg of that teaser on Sunday is actually going to be who did I take? I took the Raiders as the other leg of that. So the Raiders are going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And a lot of the things I just said about the Ravens also kind of apply to the Chiefs here, right? Like the Chiefs, although their record is not very good this year, their against the spread record is even worse. I think they only have 2 wins against the spread all season. Last week, another game where they didn't cover against the spread. But I did actually win the teaser on that last week because I teased that down from 7 down to 1. So they covered on the teaser, even though they didn't cover the spread overall. The reason I like the Raiders is the Raiders are 2.5-point home dogs here. So at 2.5, we could tease that 6 points. You're getting through the 3, you get through the 7, the semi-key numbers of 6 and 8 as well, with more teams going for 2 and, trying to do all that towards the end of games here. So you can get the Raiders all the way up to 8.5 in this game, which is a number that I like a lot. The most profitable teaser legs you can have are when you have a home team that you could tease through the 3 and the 7 in either direction. So in this case, teasing it from 2.5 up to 8.5, we get through the 3 and the 7. Or if you have a home team that's favored by like 8 or 9, well, not 9, but like 8 or 8.5 points, and you could tease them down through the 7 and the 3. Those have proven over time to be the most profitable teaser legs to take. So the second leg of my teaser this week is going to be the Raiders, adding 6 points to that 2.5, getting them up there to 8.5. So Ravens minus 1.5, Raiders 8.5. That's what I'm going with for my teaser this week. What do you got for yours?
So I didn't want to leave out the Ravens here because I normally give you that Thursday night game, and I'll try to go out and outsource and try to find some other teaser pieces. But I really like it. As soon as I saw what the line was, I was like, teaser. Didn't even think twice. But then again, those sometimes are the scariest ones because when I saw that Rams game on Sunday night, and that's a game we were talking about in terms of dodging bullets. That's a game I saw the 7.5, the home team, and I'm like, bang. No doubt. Just tease that down and we'll be good to go. And, it's easier said than done. So I do have the Ravens in here, so I don't have to touch on it too much. I will throw in 2 other teams here. So not that many teams, but 2 more teams. One of them is going to be iffy because I don't get through the 3, and that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. I just think the spread's too high on this game at 9. I don't love it outright, but I do want to play the Cowboys, who are the best team in the NFL against the spread. So they are still at home. Big get-back game after losing to the Denver Broncos, which annihilated a lot of people as well. I know people are wiped from Survivor contest solely based on that as well. So getting not necessarily through the 3, but getting to the 3, I think is good enough here for me to feel good about the Cowboys at home, to beat a Falcons team that 2 weeks ago lost to the Panthers. People don't forget, Panthers, not a very good team. That was an ugly game. It was like 19-13, really gross. I'm not going to read into the recency bias of them beating the Saints team that was coming off a win against the Bucs, but then they have Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill. I don't even know what happened there, but I'm not looking into the Falcons too much. I like the Cowboys to bounce back at home and win by at least a field goal. I don't have to get too into detail there. The Cowboys are a better team than the Falcons. My next team here is going to be the Browns, and similar to what I just said about the Falcons, the Patriots are rolling. The Patriots are home. I get all that. But when I look at this matchup, Browns versus Pats, one, I like the Browns kind of outright, especially because everyone's cloudy now because Nick Chubb is out, so on and so forth, whatever. I don't think it changes much for the Browns. You saw it against the Broncos themselves on Thursday Night Football when everyone panicked. They're going to run the ball as long as their offensive line is intact and their mantra stays the same and Kevin Stefanski is still calling plays. I think we feel pretty good about their offense. But either way, it's actually the defenses I want to talk about in this game. This game, Patriots versus Browns, screams defense. And if I'm getting over a touchdown in a game where I don't think there's going to be very many touchdowns, feel really, really good about that, right? So Browns +8 with or without Chubb, feel great about it. The Patriots are home. They are rolling, but I just want to shout out the fact that they barely beat the Texans with Davis Mills. That's the one thing I wanted to hint at, like the Falcons. Like, people don't forget, Betty. That's a game that happened with this core of team. I know they bounced back and blew out the Jets, and now they've been rolling, but I don't know. I don't buy the Pats as much as a lot of people are right now. They want Odell to go there. We'll see. We'll see. But I don't buy the
I
Pats. I like the 8 points for the Browns.
I don't buy the Pats offense
Mm,
doing much in this game. Cleveland has gotten healthier on the defensive side of the football, and that's
yeah.
a nasty defense. So the fact that they're healthy now, they're very, very good. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. So if you could tease that up and get it, what'd you get it up to? 8.5 or 8? What
So
was
I
the
got it at 8 on DraftKings. It could be going up to
okay.
2.5. I saw the line go to 2.5. I'm sure it would tick upwards.
Mhm. Yeah,
That would
I
make
was
total
going to
sense.
say that. I mean, if you could get it, if even at 2 though, if you get it at 2 or 2.5, and you get up to 8, you're getting through 3 to 7. The semi 6. If you can get it at 2.5, you also get through the 8, which is great there. But I agree with you. I mean, New England's not a team that can score a lot of points, so it's going to be low scoring. That was if I put a third leg onto my teaser, that would have been the third leg that I did as well, is teasing the Browns up to 8. So I'm rolling with you on that one. I kind of like that one. I think that's going to be a good leg there. All
Yep.
right, so let's go on and talk about this Thursday night football game here. We have the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Miami Dolphins tonight. This game opened at 7 in most places. It's gone up a little bit to 7.5. Again, why I teased it down to 1.5 is because we got up to 7.5, and I didn't want to lay more than a touchdown with the Ravens here. But I think the Ravens are in a really good spot here. I think that, Miami's defense has been pretty good this year. The rush defense better than the pass defense, which is not what most people expected to see out of Miami this year. Everybody expected the pass defense to be completely legit. Their offense, though, has been pretty bad, and that's going to be the Achilles heel, I think, for them in this game. The Ravens defense not all that great, but the offense has been very good. They've been able to move the ball when they've needed to. They can move it through the air. They still are a pretty run heavy team, despite the fact that they're down to, I don't know, running backs like 4, 5, and 6 at this point on the
They're
roster.
they're going to the NFL leading rushers from 2014, I think, where Devontae
Yeah,
Freeman, Le'Veon Bell,
yeah,
Latavius Murray.
they
Well, Murray never led it, but still, you know what I mean.
yeah, no, absolutely. But again, I mean, this is what happened. Dobbins got hurt, Gus Edwards got hurt. Like all their
Yep.
guys just wind up going down. But it is still a pretty much run heavy type of offense. So they do need
Hmm.
some running backs in there. But again, it just goes to show what we talk about quite a bit, that running backs don't matter as much as people think they do. And I don't mean that as like a knock on good running backs or anything like that. It's just there are a lot of guys that can go out there and approximate a decent run game for you as long as you have a good scheme around them. And
Hmm.
that's what the Ravens do have, is they have a good quarterback that teams got to worry about with his arm and with his legs. They have some pretty solid guys out there catching passes for him. Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown being at the top of that list. But there's a lot of weapons on this team, so it's not an easy team to defend. You can kind of plug and play these running backs, and that's what we have seen in some of these recent weeks. So let's you want to recap the prop records now, and then we'll kind of get into what we think of our prop plays for this week.
I absolutely do. This is the highlight of the show. This is the reason why, if I'm someone watching this show, I'm a fan of us. I keep coming back because we keep winning, Benny. We say it every week. We
True.
put the pressure on, and we just keep winning. So you're back to 500, 9-9 overall in terms of prop picks, which when betting props is very good. I am at 12 and 15, but let's just look at the profits here. I mean, you are plus 895. I'm plus 2685. And you know what? We were debating this before we came on. Not much of a debate, but I put in my Sam Darnold first touchdown. But shout out to you and our most recent big hit here at 5.5 to 1, Betty. The reason you're up afloat over your
Devontae
unit,
Adams.
Mark. Yeah, Devontae Adams, man, because you were at about a unit, 2 units profit. Bang. I mean, you knew it. You had said that was the money bet all last year, and I remember I saw that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, never a doubt. I was on it as well. It's just it was a mortal lock, and so yeah. So you're at plus 895. I cashed my first touchdown a couple weeks ago to get me afloat and way above the unit profit there. But even without the Sam Darnold, we're looking at close to 10 units in profit. So we keep going, Benny. We don't stop.
Yeah.
We keep going, and now the pressure's on even more for us to get these listeners some winning tickets tonight.
Well, listen, I'm going to start it off right away with a bang here, because there is a mispriced number that you and I have already talked about off air that,
Yeah.
was kind of a buzz in the FTN discords and the FTN Slack chats and all that stuff that we're in here. And that's Devonta Freeman anytime touchdown. So Latavius Murray did not practice this week. He is doubtful for this game tonight. When a guy has been out and it remains doubtful, it is very unlikely that he plays. I think the number is somewhere below 25% that a guy who's listed as doubtful that missed a game the week before actually suits up and plays. Even if he does, I can't imagine he's going to take a big load. And honestly, I don't think he's going to at all, which means that Devonta Freeman is going to be back to being the main running back for this Ravens team here tonight in a game that they're favored by 7, which usually should skew pretty heavily to the run on that side of the ball. The reason I love this Devonta Freeman play, you go to BetMGM right now, you can get a Devonta Freeman anytime touchdown for plus 225. On DraftKings, it's plus 170. On FanDuel, it's down to plus 115, which Gilles Gallant, our resident anytime touchdown expert, said is actually probably what the fair value should be if he's the running back, the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens, and there's no Latavius Murray. So I just think this is a wrong number that BetMGM put up there. It's way too high. Plus 225. We double checked before we even came on the show. Make sure it's still available. It is still out there. So if I were you guys, before this number moves back to, closer to what some of the other sites have it as, get over to BetMGM, put it in, 225, Devonta Freeman, anytime touchdown, my first bet of the week. The second one that I'm going to talk about here is somebody on the other side of this game, and that's Jalen Waddle. There's no Will Fuller. There's no Devontae Parker. Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki have been the only two guys catching passes for this team. In the last 4 games, there's only been one game that Jalen Waddle hasn't really played well, hasn't had at least 70 receiving yards, and hasn't seen at least 10 targets. And that was against the Buffalo Bills, who are the number 1 pass coverage defense in the league right now, according to multiple different stats on multiple different stat providers. Everybody has Buffalo up there in the top couple, if not number 1 overall. So you could excuse a guy for having a bad game against the best pass defense in the league. But the reason why I like him is, like I said, in the other 3 of the last 4 games that they played, double-digit targets, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 catches. I think he had 9 catches in 2 of those games, and a minimum of 70 yards outside of that Buffalo game in the last month or so. The number tonight is only 60.5, and it's starting to get juiced up a little bit. It opened the week at minus 110. It's sitting at minus 115 on DraftKings right now. I like Jalen Waddle over 60.5 yards as my second prop play for tonight. I like both of these. I think we're going to cash both of these. I think we're going to make a lot of money on these two tonight. What are you looking at for tonight?
So I really like Jalen Waddle. Really like Jalen Waddle. He's been under the radar in terms of fantasy, and I've been trotting him out in a deeper league since the start. And I've kind of been taking the chance on him. Of the rookie wide receivers in that league, I was just like, you know what, I need to get one of these guys. And he's probably, I know there's been some resurgence among some of these other younger guys, but he has been taking off this season quietly. Again, obviously it helps, like you said, he's one of only 2 people on the team catching passes, so that contributes. But you kind of alluded to it for me. If there's someone on this team that's going to catch a touchdown in terms of the Dolphins, you got to think it's either Jalen Waddle or Mike Gesicki. And so I'm going to go out and I'm going to bet on Mike Gesicki here at plus 225 to score at any point in time. He's the definition of due. Hasn't scored in about 3-4 weeks. Look, the guy gets over 8 targets a game. His average yard per catch is like well over 14. It's pretty absurd. He's targeted red zone. He's targeted in the middle of the field. And the Baltimore Ravens, you kind of said it in the beginning of this, but they're not great defensively, even though they kind of still have that mantra. And they're really especially not great at covering tight ends. So based on workload, based on kind of how this game's going to flow, I expect the Dolphins to be down and have to throw the ball a ton if they want to stay in this. It's got to be Gesicki or Waddle. I like Waddle here. Only 2 touchdowns on the year, like I said. I think Gesicki is where they'll want to look to attack this Baltimore Raven defense because you're not going to get much going as much as the defense isn't great in terms of wide receivers. I mean, the secondary for this Baltimore Ravens team is very good. So it'll be interesting to see how they play Waddle. And if they do happen to have some success by doing that, I think they'll turn right to Gesicki and he should get some of the red zone work. Now, the catch is there, though. They have to get to the red zone, which is not a given. So let's talk, though, about the other 3 props on here. So you can see here, all 4 of my props are in positive odds. The one I like the most here is Mark Andrews. So we feast on tight ends. Tight end props similar to QB props on Thursday Night Football, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So Mark Andrews over 4.5 receptions is a good start here at plus 125. Over 5 receptions in all but 2 games this year. I'm not really sure why this is at plus 125. I assume it's for blowout run. I'd imagine maybe they feed him early and then they don't have to go back to him. But if that's the case, that's fine because I am parlaying this here with an anytime scorer at plus 150. So both of these are in positive odds. I think he's getting one of the two, if not both. The Dolphins cannot guard tight ends. And I really look towards that Falcons game when Kyle Pitts went off. He didn't score, but he had over 100, almost 200 yards receiving, I think. He had like 11 receptions. He went off. And that's kind of skewed their numbers in terms of guarding tight ends. But all in all, like they're just not very good at doing it. That's probably the outlier. But at the same time, you see what the ceiling is, and then you see what the floor is in terms of like, I don't know, they played the Texans, and the Texans got like Jordan Akins, and he's still getting like 3 receptions. I think they're going to feed Mark Andrews. The only way that reception total doesn't get there is if it's blowout run. But even then, I think he's going to score a touchdown. Other than that, here's the wild call. I really like Rashad Bateman to score his first touchdown tonight. Plus 275. Anytime score for Rashad Bateman. I really wanted to bet his over receptions. I couldn't find it anywhere. Bateman, since coming back, has had 6 or more targets in each of his last 3 games. Duvernay got a touchdown last week against the Vikings, but he only had 2 receptions, 2 targets that easily could have went towards Bateman. They don't look at Hollywood Brown other than for a deep ball threat. Devontae Freeman caught one in the flat. I think Rashad Bateman is due to get a touchdown. I think they want to get him a touchdown in terms of getting this guy's beak wet. And at plus 275 for a guy who I know people are high on Hollywood Brown, I think Bateman's going to be the number 1 receiver in Baltimore. I view him as the number 1 receiver in Baltimore. I really do. I think he's talented enough. And I think if you follow the reports, shout out to Debro. He said this coming into the year, but if you follow the reports, they love him there. And he's not one-dimensional like Hollywood Brown. This guy's an actual receiver. So if I can get a number 1 guy at plus 275, I'm going to the bank, I'm putting a unit on it, and we're calling it a day. So those are my 4 bets, all in positive odds. We're looking to make some money here and, continue to get these people. What's the best way I could look at this? Get you some presents under the tree? It's too soon for Christmas, right, Benny? It might be a little too soon.
I don't know. From what I hear, there's a backlog on everything that you want to order. So everybody's saying you got to order your presents now. And, listen, I got a bunch of kids, so I got a bunch of presents I got to buy. I know my wife's already started making Christmas lists. They're having kids make Christmas lists. So I could use a couple extra bucks right now and just throw it her way and be like, here, go ahead. Just start ordering this stuff now, and hopefully it's here by the end of December. So that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to help you guys all make sure you have Christmas presents under the tree for your kids, yourself, and your significant others and friends and family and all that stuff. So there we go. That's going to wrap it up here today. Tino, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, at Tino Rodriguez _. You could also follow me on Instagram at Steven Rodriguez with 1_. I've got to work on the underscores. I'm just not a numbers person. I think the underscores are easier to follow. So, yep, follow me on Insta and Twitter.
All right, well, I am a numbers person, so you can follow me at BennyR11 over there on Twitter. I think that's the same on Instagram, but I use my Instagram more so my in-laws can see pictures of my kids. So, not a lot of sports information on that. You do not want to follow me on Instagram. That's probably not the way. But you do want to follow and make sure you're following all of the FTN Network accounts, FTN Bets, FTN Daily, FTN Fantasy. And make sure if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you like and subscribe. Also, make sure you guys get over to iTunes where you can go type in Betting with Benny, and you'll be able to get all the shows that Tino and I do on Thursday and Friday, the show I do with Brooke on Wednesday, and the show I do on Monday where I go over the opening lines for the next week. So a lot of places that you guys can find us, a lot of information. And as you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, if you're interested in any packages at FTN, use promo code Benny, get 20% off. For Tino, this is Benny signing off for Betting with Benny and Tino here at FTN Bets. Good luck, everybody.